everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone's having a wonderful day out there and doing some really fun and exciting things. This is episode 1 of my podcast, Tyler's Coffee Talks. And I've got a really great guest here, Rocky. And I am just honored because to have this person to take the time out of his day to come onto my show for the first time, my first episode, I'm blessed because I know that this guy's going to give you so much good content. I was very honored to be on his show a couple months back. I learned a lot from him. He's really, really well, entrepreneurial driven and very well rounded. If you guys are just listening, he's got books galore behind him, and I'm sure he's read every single one of them. And I know why, because he sends me text messages of books that I need to read. And I tell him those are some of the best books I've ever read. So thank you so much. Rocky, welcome to the show, buddy.
Tyler, excited to be here, especially since it's episode 1. What an honor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So tell the viewers a little bit about what you do, how you do it, when you do it, and why you do it.
So I am the profit answer man. I work with small business owners and I help to ensure that they are always profitable. And we talked about that when you were on my show. I was absolutely horrified when I learned that business owners didn't understand the business of business. I'm like, how do you go into business and not look at your financial reports? And then I learned they went into business to do what they loved. They didn't go into business to be an accountant or a bookkeeper or a financial analyst. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we're all taught in school, right? Math is hard. Numbers are boring. So everyone tends to ignore them. Business owners do the things they love,
sure, and
they ignore the things they don't love. And the problem is, if you ignore your numbers, it's going to come and it's going to bite you. Yeah. And so someone's got to sit in that seat. Yeah. Now, I'm a numbers geek. Yeah. So way back, I think before you were born, there was a spreadsheet called VisiCalc. It was the first electronic spreadsheet. And I was teaching accountants while I was in high school how to go from their paper ledgers to these spreadsheets.
No kidding.
Spreadsheets tell me stories. Tax returns tell me stories. Yeah. They allow me to ask better questions and figure out what's going on in your business. And I can figure out how we can make changes in your business to make you more profitable. So that's my story. I love helping people make money and get rich.
You know, to that point, what I find really interesting, and I think a lot of business owners overlook this, and nowadays QuickBooks has really taken over a large majority of the market for accounting and accountability and spreadsheets, P&Ls. You got your all sorts of like profit and losses, everything that you really work with on a day-to-day business operational standpoint. I will say this, one thing that I've seen that really paints a beautiful picture of where we're going and what we did wrong and how we can improve is look at your actual raw bank statements. Look at your raw bank statements. That's going to give you a lot bigger of a picture.
So what most business owners do is look at their bank balance. Is there money in my bank account? No money? I got to sell, right? Yeah. Money? Oh, I got to spend, which is the wrong attitude. But that's what they do because they forgot, oh, there's money in my bank account, but I forgot I had to pay taxes. Yep. I forgot there was a bill tomorrow for $20,000. Yep. I forgot payroll was this Friday. Mm-hmm. Like in the system that we use with Profit First is designed to use your bank accounts and to show you where your money is and to allocate it, give every dollar a job, and send it on its way. So it really helps to work much better.
And you know what's also an interesting thing is business owners, and I'm actually one to say that I was accused of this in a rightful way because I did it too many times, and what I did is I almost tanked my business. And one thing that a business owner really likes to see is a healthy business bank account, right? But for people out there that have product-based businesses, so people that sell coffee, for example, or sell equipment or computers or whatever that they need to warehouse and they need to ship to the customer, and they're going to get their percentage of return. I'll tell you one thing right now, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. If you have a product that you're selling to a customer out there, it's better that you have a full warehouse and a small bank account than have a huge bank account and a small warehouse.
So I think it depends, right? It depends on what you're selling, who you're selling to, what your lead times are.
Yeah.
All of those are levers, and you got to play with the levers to figure out what works for you and what's appropriate. Because let's say I go out and I fill my warehouse with stuff and COVID happens. And
true.
Now nobody wants what's in my warehouse,
right,
maybe.
Right.
I don't know that. What if technology changes? If I'm selling something that's technology driven and somebody comes out with a new gadget,
then you're obsolete. No,
then I'm obsolete.
That's a good point.
Now, if I'm ordering something from China, these days, everything from China is coming out on ships 3 months late. I better have extra on hand because I need to handle that kind of an order sequence. So helping people, you really got to figure out what your order sequence is for your business. Don't look at what that guy does, because that's him.
Well, you're right. No, that's a great point, and a great aspect of what you just said is for Tyler's Coffees, we have a demand that we have to fulfill. But for people out there that are selling just, standard, like for example, I'm going to hold up an AirPod case here, and this is dime a dozen. I could be buying counterfeits of these. I could be buying original apples of these. I could be buying different versions of these. And I don't know what my sell-through rate's going to be because it's so generic. So you're absolutely right. If you have a specific and a very niche market, then you want to carry an inventory that's healthy. But you're right. If say I take my, I'm a small entrepreneur in this scenario. So I've got $5,000 to go and buy X amount of material and put it on my Amazon store and try to sell through and try to make a profit. So if I go out there and I say I have AirPod cases, well, how many other people in Amazon have AirPod cases? And am I going to be able to be, price competitive? Am I going to be able to get the buy box? Do I have to pay money in marketing to get people's notice on it? What's the value of a reason why they want to buy it? There's always these outside circumstances that just never, attract people just because of the dollars. They also want value.
So let's talk about that, because whenever I hear the word Amazon seller, like, I hold my breath. Right?
It's happening. It's happening faster than you can speak right now. I mean, there's more Amazon sellers out there than you've ever seen before. It's crazy.
And I understand that. And I can't tell you how many of them are looking at their top line going, I sold $1 million last year. And more often than not, I'm like, and how much money did you lose?
Right. What's your profit?
What's your profit? Because let's say I buy that iPod case.
Yeah.
And it cost me $100 to buy it. I'm going to sell it on Amazon for $200. Hey, I got $100 profit, right? Well, wait a minute. Amazon is going to charge me 30% to sell it. And then I got to pay shipping and handling.
You better believe it.
So my $200 just became $140. And then I paid the $10 shipping. Now I'm at $130. And I spent $20 marketing it. Now I'm at $110. I spent $100 buying it. Oh, and I borrowed the money to buy it. So now I've got $1 and I haven't paid my overhead. And that's where it goes wrong.
100%.
All the time.
Yeah. But I mean, it's kind of Amazon seller. So in 2004, everyone and their brother's uncle said, I'm a SEO specialist or an SEO expert. I'm going to get you to the first page of Google. I'm going to get you to the first page of Google. I'm going to get you to the first page of Google. Now you go to any, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, any social media platform, you got a guy that's sitting and, saying, I got this Lamborghini and I got this house. No, you don't. You rented it. Come on, don't be stupid here. And also they're saying, if you sign up to my class, I'll give you an Amazon store and I'll do it all for you, and you don't do anything and you just put money out. Well, you're going to be putting money out. We know that. But are you going to be getting money back? And that's the real question.
I see their books. The guys who do this, I can tell you, many of them are struggling.
Oh, very much
So
so. Yeah.
don't look at the vanity number. Don't look at the vanity car that was rented. Look at what's actually in your pocket, cold hard cash.
Yeah.
It's yours to keep.
Yeah. Yeah. So what if I gave you $1 million as an investor and I said, you came to me and you said, Tyler, I want to do this and it's going to be $1 million and I know where our return is going to be X. Tell our listeners out there, what would you invest in as a business right now that you think would be given the return? I mean, everyone said, oh my God, cryptocurrency is killing it. Well, you know what? I lost $3,000 2 days ago. So I don't think cryptocurrency is killing it anymore. I am the one that's going to be sitting on the ship and listening to the classical music as it goes down. Just because I'm already too heavily upside down. And if it does correct, then I'm going to sell because this is getting too volatile, kind of like Forex back in the day. But I want to hear from you what you think what our listeners should invest in, really.
So if I look at crypto or NFTs, you're buying
Air.
nothing.
You're buying air.
You're buying air. So clearly, I don't want to buy air. For most people, the easiest asset in business to run is real estate.
It's
Because you already have a market. Everybody needs a place to live.
Yep.
So if you buy your real estate right, it's a great business.
It is. It is. And right to that point, I bought a house about 8 months ago, and I just got a value offer at $150,000 above what I purchased it for. Now, I'm not going to sell it because I really like the house, and I'm really just personally happy with what I have. But for someone in real estate right now, it is extremely hot. Mind you, you and I have both gone through a bubble called 2007, 2008. So if that does occur again, and it is going to be an interesting conversation to have because the SEC came out with regulations in 2016 that really put a real stranglehold on the market as a whole, and it took them a while for them to switch gears essentially and come out with a little bit more of a wholesome aspect of property ownership than selling a deed to 30 people to own a third of equity in a property that just devalues the hell out of it. So real estate's actually definitely a solid option right now.
I think if you can find a business that's unique and different, that's something new. Right now, what seems to be really hot is SaaS businesses, so software as a service. But you have to ask yourself, is that your forte?
Coding's a nightmare, though. You're going to be paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for the right coder. You really are.
And that's where you form a partnership. Go find a coder who doesn't know how to sell or doesn't know how to market.
Yeah.
Say, you sit there and code and I'll go sell.
Yeah.
Right? There are ways to do business without money.
Mm-hmm. There is. Bartering is the oldest form of business. I have this and you have that. What can we do to make something happen? 100%. And the other thing that I would say is that, and this is where I'm actually getting more and more comfortable with is, I own the coffee business. Everyone that is listening should know that we're the world's first and only acid-free coffee. I don't need to plug myself on my own show, but what I'm saying is I'm talking to my father, who was the inventor of the product. I'm the one that took it and ran with it. But my father has come out with multiple chemical products, and I'm not going to say it on the show yet because we're not ready to go to market yet. But the products business is another really solid product. As long as you have a solution to a problem that is better than the existing solution, then you'll be ahead.
And you need to test the market.
Yeah.
So if people are like, you got Kickstarter, if people are willing to buy pre-production, you have something that has value. If they're not, then that it may not be as great as you think it is.
I can't tell you how hard it is for someone to take their ego out of business, but I cannot stress it enough to anyone listening out there. Take your ego out of your business, because your ego will be your downfall. If you think your idea is excellent and great and fantastic and wonderful and best thing since sliced bread, guess what? How many other people think that way? And if it's only you, you will not have a business, you'll have a hobby. And I love watching Shark Tank, because Shark Tank really does love to tell people you have a hobby, not a business. And it's true. And it's true.
It comes down to this. Are they going to hand you cold, hard cash?
Yes.
You get cold, hard cash, you know you have a business, and then you got to run the numbers and make sure you're profitable. 100%. And I think a lot of times people don't realize how much is involved in the numbers. Like you said, coders are expensive.
Yes.
Right? What does it cost to actually run a business?
Everything's an overhead. Everything's an overhead. And what's really so an interesting aspect of being a business owner is the reason why people can't sleep at night that are business owners is because they worry too much. And I'm not, hear my warning, I'm not telling you don't worry. I'm not saying that. You should worry. You should definitely make sure that you're not in the black and you're in the red. But I don't think that people should really focus on, am I going to cover this month? Am I going to cover this month? I look at sales. So when I was in a small operation and I didn't have an office with 6 people running around, I would always say, well, can I make this kind of money? Can I cover this? Now I look at numbers and I say, I know my margins in my businesses, right? So that's first and foremost. If you don't know your margins, you're in the wrong business. You should just get out, just call it a day and walk away. But if you know your margins and you know what you're selling through and you know how much you're selling through and you're looking at the data, long story short, don't have to worry about the small nitty and gritty. All you have to focus on is what's behind me, is making the money. Because if you make the money, the problems will solve themselves. Because you have the money to fund the problems. You have the money to fund the problems.
Well, money is the fuel. Is it Dan Miller? Not Dan Miller. The book is Business Made Simple.
Okay.
It really explains all the different parts of the business and how they all come together and how to look at your business as a business. And it's very simple to understand. So if you're thinking of starting a business, that's a great book to read.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what else is another a great book is, I'm probably going to get flack for this, but I'll just say it. The Art of the Deal. Take him out of it. Just read the book. It's a great book. It talks to you about how you manage your real estate, how you manage your business, how you manage people, how you get things done, and you get things done on time and on budget. And that's what's really important.
And you have to negotiate. You have to understand what the other person values.
Yes.
And if you understand what the other person values, because it's not always money, you can negotiate better deals. But that requires conversations and getting to know people. And
I enjoy negotiations, and I'll tell you why. Because I like debating, and I know that sounds kind of weird, but debate to me gives me the value of kind of like playing mental chess with someone. I know where they're at. I know what they want. I know how I can get it for them, and I can leverage something for that. And that's really what business is all about, is when you're trying to take it to the next level. For example, my salespeople, we have sales meetings once a week, and we go over numbers, of course. And I say, okay, how are we going to get into that store? And he's like, well, I've called him, I've emailed him. And I said, everyone calls and emails. How do we get into that store? What do we need to do to get into that store? And that's the question I put out there. And then I wait for the response. And they could say, well, maybe I could send out samples. I say, okay, let's try that. Or, well, maybe I should reach out to their assistant and tell them, hey, have you ever heard of the world's first and only acid-free coffee that doesn't give you heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach? Smooth, no bitter bite. Do you have problems with your stomach? Maybe it's not the person that we're trying to get a hold of that we need to. Maybe it's the person underneath them that has their ear and will say, hey, George, Gary from Tyler's Coffees called me and it seemed really interesting to talk to him, and I like the product and he sent over some information. Why don't you look at it?
I think part of that is also understanding the culture of the company you're selling into.
Yeah.
Like, what does that company want? What do they represent? Would this be a perfect fit into their core ideals and beliefs and what they want to bring to the world?
Yeah.
And then you speak to that instead of to what you have.
Yeah, I think what it is it's too much noise that these people. So when you're trying to sell something to someone, they've been pitched so many hundred. Let's talk about like dating, right? So you find this gorgeous, beautiful woman, gorgeous looking dress, has it all together, sitting there at the bar alone. Why is she alone? Because every guy knows that they can't go and approach her.
Because they're all afraid. And yet the guy who goes up gets the date.
Yep. That's it. So when you don't have the fear in front of you, you can be ultimately successful. Tyler's Coffees was the same thing. I went door to door and I had no fear. I had to build no fear. I mean, I did. I had fear. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to build a company on my own 2 feet. It would have been nice to be a trust baby, but we can't all be trust babies.
It's not a fun life being a trust baby.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
Yeah. I know a couple and they're bored. They're just bored.
You have no meaning, no purpose in life.
Yeah.
I don't have to work.
Neither do I.
But I choose to work.
Exactly.
Because otherwise I'd be bored out of my mind all day. I wouldn't be growing.
I'm with you. I can't play golf too many every day.
That gets boring. I mean, maybe if you really love golf. To me, I don't love golf enough to do that.
Right.
I want to learn and grow.
Yeah, I mean, so going back to it, I think that the most important thing in business is to not have the fear that you've already put in front of you. It's called a fear storm. And when you put your own fear, when you put your own self in front of something that you don't think you can accomplish, you can't. So if that's you listening out there that says, yeah, but Tyler, yeah, but Rocky, yeah, but life, yeah, but fill in the blank. Listen to the gentleman, Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie is one of the best authors, and he wrote how to influence people, how to make friends and influence people, And it really just breaks down your fear storms and how you can actually just go past that and really make something of yourself. He's probably got the book.
I do, but I'm looking for. Have you ever read Never Eat Alone? Keith Ferrazzi?
No, I haven't.
So Never Eat Alone is the modern version of Dale Carnegie's book.
Okay.
And he talks about breaking through the fear, negotiating, building your network, how to provide value. Everyone, like when you go to most things, everyone's talking about themselves.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about the other person and their issues and how to help them solve.
Right.
And that's a big part of what it is. How do you help other people? Because that's what provides value, and that's what makes sales happen.
Oh, 100%. So in our last 5 minutes, I actually flipped the script so when I wanted to build a podcast, because everyone said, oh, you got to have a podcast. You got to have a podcast. Tyler, you got to have a podcast. And I said, all right, fine. I'll do the podcast. I'll make it. Tyler, you got to have a book. 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 All right, fine. I'll bring out a book. So we're bringing out a book this year. So I flipped the script. I want to know and I'm going to ask every single guest that comes on. I want to know what your biggest failure in life has been.
The biggest failure in life?
Absolutely.
One is financial and one is taking action.
Okay.
So the biggest failure financially was freaking out in the bottom of the market at 2008. When you lose a few $100,000, you tend to freak out. It's just life, right?
Oh yeah.
Even though you know better.
Oh yeah.
And I had been through it before, but you still freak out. The bigger so that only lost me a few $100,000. What lost me millions of dollars was waiting 20 years to buy my first real estate property. I understood real estate as a kid. I knew how to do every part. Like I can go in and fix the house, do the roof, do the plumbing. I had my real estate license in college.
Okay.
Right. So here I am, 22 years old. I could have started buying real estate. Instead, I waited till I was like 42 years old to buy real estate. You know what happened to the price of real estate in those 20 years?
Went up.
Went up astronomically.
Mm-hmm. Went up.
I could have been so much richer, but yeah, that's life. Things happen.
So that's true. That's true.
It's start. The thing is, I didn't start.
Well, okay. So now that I have the failure, so this is how I bring it around. How did you fix that? So you had your greatest failure of the market crashing and not buying real estate. What made you say, okay, this is a failure. Now I need to fix my failure and make it a success?
So it's 2011, right?
Yeah.
And well, I already lost enough money in the stock market. Let's try real estate. I know this. And I got pushed into it, right?
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with somebody and I said, yeah, I'm thinking about buying real estate. You know, I'd really like to do it. Be cool to get a house and get started on the rentals. And they said, that's interesting. We don't like where we're living. We'll get back to you. 3 months later, I get a phone call. Hey, we want to take you up on your offer to rent to us.
Oh.
Like, oh, I guess I got to go find a house. Now, I already knew everything I needed to know. So literally within weeks,
hold on.
we were off and running.
So hold on. You pitched someone that you knew I could get you a rental, and then they said no. And a couple months later, they came back to you and they said, hey, by the way, we're interested.
They didn't say no. They just said, well, think about it. I didn't even say I'd get you a rental. I said, I'm thinking about buying a rental. Not that you have to be my renter.
Well, this is an interesting story because, I mean, that doesn't usually happen that way. I like that.
Well, it does when you tell the world what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told the world, hey, I was thinking about doing this, and the world responded.
Sure. Yeah, I get it. So that's when you decided to buy in the real estate, and then
so then
have a customer, right?
We had a customer. We got our first rental, and then I'm like, okay, now I understand this. I see how the numbers work. Let's try another one. And then we started getting foreclosures. And the same thing, a buddy of mine got together and we went and looked at a bunch of properties until we finally said, there is no way we can lose money on this deal. Let's try. And we did the first one. They're like, okay, that was pretty easy. Let's do 2, let's do 3. And then that started that whole business.
So now let me ask you, for our listeners out there, I am under the impression, and I could be wrong, but I am under the impression, I've got 4 properties. I'm under the impression that the way you really make your wealth is not by selling real estate, but by acquiring real estate, putting renters in, and making your nut.
Acquiring real estate at the right price.
Well,
because you make money in real estate on the purchase. No, you make money in real estate on the purchase, not on the sale. Your profit is determined on purchase.
Right, but if I have a rent, which I do, I have renters in all my properties, and they cover my mortgage plus, I think, 40%.
That's phenomenal. That's how you will make money over time, and your big payday will come when the loan is paid off.
Yeah, and I've met the way that I've really seen the success happen is I've met people that are driving around in Lamborghini Huracans, and because I'm a car guy. Actually, part of this podcast, and I know you're not really a car guy, but part of this podcast is cars, and I'm going to have car guests on here. But I love to meet people that have nice cars, and I'll tell you why. A, they're really personable. B, they're really on top of their game. C, they know what they're doing. And, D, they really have the life by the horns. So I met this guy in my local area in Tucson. He has a Lamborghini Huracan, about a $220,000 car. And I went up to him at a car meet and I said, hey, that's a really nice car. Can I ask, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm in real estate. And I was like, really? Do you mind if I pick your brain? He's like, yeah, sure. What's up? And I was like, I told him the whole story. I'm looking to buy. And this is at the time when I didn't have property. I was looking to buy. And he told me, he said, don't ever sell real estate. Just make sure that you have tenants that are paying you plus your mortgage. So whatever your mortgage is plus 40% is really where you want to be. And you'll never go wrong. And I said, okay. And I believe him, man. I mean, the guy had a lot of doors.
It comes back to knowing your numbers.
Yeah.
And looking at your finances. Because I know guys who've got 100+ doors who don't even know where their money is.
Wow.
I'm telling you, there are people where money and them are just like oil and water.
But somehow they have it.
Well, they borrow it. There's more. The money is coming and going and it's flowing, but they don't necessarily have it.
Yeah.
So looks are deceiving.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you're talking about works, and it's a proven path. It's a path that you can leverage because people are willing to lend money on real estate where they aren't in other areas.
Right.
It is a slow path.
Mm-hmm.
And you also don't want to get into it and grow too fast. What I mean by that is you get guys going out to the razor's edge every time, and then the roof leaks, and they have no money to fix the roof.
Oh, absolutely. No, you always have to
do it appropriately.
Yeah, you always. And the other thing is I'm a huge purveyor of advocate, whatever you want to call it, of warranties. I got a house warranty on every single property I own, and it's paid in dividends. I pay $75, AC goes out. I pay $75, the refrigerator goes out. I pay $75, the appliances go out, and they replace them if they're broken, and I'll tell you, it has saved me thousands of dollars. Yeah. So, well, thank you so much, Rocky. It was a pleasure having you on the show. I can't thank you enough for being my first guest. Wow, this is history right here, folks, in the making.